Scalpel.
True story. Yeah, so extended medbay obviously is very expensive. So, and I think that if you wanted that, you'd have to save up a little bit more. I don't know how everybody was holding on, or how much people were holding on to before then.
Well, I literally have 1/5 of that.
Oscar has an empire to build.
Fair.
And Go will probably have to spend it on her dad. So.
Again, need to know how much the procedure costs first, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay. Well, maybe before we talk about that, since you guys have some time to kill before you need to get that installed, maybe we talk about Gogo's thing, right? So Gogo, do you let anyone know about this, or are you like gonna take a shuttle back to the main hub? And
I've been keeping Dr. Fisher up to date, because last time I told him that I had made contact, or was going to attempt to make contact with her.
Cool, yeah.
And then probably in the time that we've been waiting around, I would have told him, like, hey, I got a message back from her. I have a meeting time. And, like, would you like to come? Or am I going to do this solo?
I believe having someone else in the medical field may help smooth the process somewhat.
Also, you guys are from the same place. Maybe you could catch up.
Indeed.
Gogo kind of like smiles. Yeah.
I mean, whatever
Also,
you do, don't make Will fall in love with her, because then I'll have to kill her.
As long as she fixes my dad first, I don't really care.
Sorry. Anyway.
Spoilers.
Right.
Damn it. Also, at some point, I would have casually mentioned to Fortune.
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered. You're such a good player.
Somebody wants to talk to him.
So what does that look like? You find Fortune, like, probably overseeing his new workshop being built.
Yeah, I would just, like, saddle up next to him and just be like, hey, so kind of weird story. Do you have a minute?
Sure, but look at this workshop. This is going to be great. You know how many more rifles I can make?
Yeah,
This is going to be so good.
yeah,
and it's make it so much better. What?
So,
what?
When I was getting, well, you know what? Don't worry about that. When I was out in the corridors, there's somebody came up to me. They wanted to talk to you. You specifically. Mentioned the name Claremont. Does that ring any bells?
Let me see.
So roll a culture Claris, or whatever the home world is. So culture spacer probably in this case, if you don't have it, with intelligence. There's no failure here, it's just how much you know about Claremont.
Everything.
Yeah. So Claremont is probably one of the most notorious Claris mercenaries. However, no one knows who it is, except for the leadership.
And Gogo.
And maybe Gogo.
And this Tondra, who hacked the thing for me.
Right. So the reason why Claremont is so famous is because people probably say that whoever Claremont is, they're magic, and they have abilities that can transcend normal, like, distance barriers. Every single time that Claremont is assigned a mission, it is completed, and payment is sent, but everyone that's ever reported, like, you know how sometimes Claris work against, quote-unquote, against each other to whoever can get to the kill first?
Yeah.
Or the whatever mission first. Every person who's ever reported back says that no one was ever present. It was always some freak accident, or it was, you know, some rival gang or whatever took out the target. But for some reason, Claremont always gets credit for those kills or those missions. Like, you know, if there's a mission to like protect cargo, all of a sudden it just shows up where it's supposed to be and nobody's able to have found it or tracked it anywhere.
Got it.
So that's about the maximum that's known about Claremont. And in addition to the fact that the leadership very clearly knows who it is, or at least has a contact for who it is.
Yeah.
So,
Then-
ring any bells?
Yeah. Yes. Who did you meet? Who was it? Where did you meet him? Where am I meeting him? What's going on?
Well, I was at this bar, and there's this, you know what, long story short, it was a hooded figure. It was a girl. I could tell she had purple skin. She was clearly a very skilled hacker. That's about it. She, honest to goodness, didn't say any more than that, other than you would know. That's it.
So where am I supposed to meet this person who said something about Claremont?
It kind of sounded like they would find you, if you catch my drift.
I catch your drift. I don't. All right. Well, I mean, yes, I'll meet Claremont.
You shout into the void.
Yeah. Just,
Your
Claremont!
your compad goes off.
I look at my compad.
And it just says, no need to yell.
I type
See?
back. Well, that was fast.
Well, you're not easy to find.
This coming from Claremont.
Well, I mean, it wasn't easy, but I did it.
Yeah, but you saying I'm not easy to find is like Waldo saying I'm not easy to find.
Who's Waldo?
It's old human puzzle book.
There's a bit of a delay, and then all of a sudden you receive every known Where's Waldo book in succession in a file.
Yeah, that's Waldo.
Interesting. I've already found all of him, so no, you were slightly harder than that.
This is before algorithms could do that.
I'm sorry, you didn't say there were rules.
Anyways. Where are we meeting? What are we meeting about? What's going on?
Here, this is enough of a meeting.
Cool. So what's up?
Your contract is forfeit. I believe the pretenses in which they were assigned were ill-advised. I'll make my report to the leadership. Thought you should know that, well, none of my robots are going to try and kill you anymore.
Okay, so this is the contract that, because of what
Paphos.
you're giving me, Paphos had on us, then?
I don't know who purchased it, but you've done enough.
Cool. Appreciate that.
Oh, don't thank me. I got more than enough to satisfy my needs. Thanks for Sasha.
No problem.
There's no reply to that. Oh, one more thing.
Yep.
I'm not normally this nice, but I feel bad for you. So, here. And you get 2 files. they're both like, you can tell they're both like previously heavily encrypted, but they've been like cracked, right? One of them has the label Harpy, and the other one has the label Corsair.
If I had to take a guess, would these be two Claris mercenaries working for Kujera?
Are you asking?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you ask. I think it's just like, no, maybe hard to find, but you are pretty dumb. They're the other two that still hold your contract. Thought you should know.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
No reply.
I scream back into the void. Thank you, Claremont.
Sure. And it probably says to you. It probably says, "Oh, Go-Go, the one with the hair."
Yep.
Give her this. And another file comes across the screen, and it just says, "Hold on." It says. Oh, it just says Dr. Zinnia on it.
As soon as I get it, I transfer it to Go-Go.
Yeah. So Gogo, you watch this whole interaction. Are you like looking over his shoulder as he's typing?
No, I imagine him like secretly typing, standing next to me, and then all of a sudden him just shouting, "Thank you, Claremont!" You're just like, what? And then my data, like my comp pad, light up, and I'm like, what? So then I like open it, obviously.
Yeah, and you open it, and just briefing over it, you realize that it's clear blackmail material. It appears Dr. Zinnia has been funneling money out of her Westwind contract, and designated it for other purposes. It doesn't say what those other purposes are, because it's all being done hand to hand. It's not being done electronically. But essentially, the care that is supposed to be going to Westwind soldiers and Navymen is not quite as large as it should be.
All these special projects, then.
Mm-hmm.
Gogo doesn't say, but does say, "Thank you, Claremont."
So
What the hell are you all
yes,
yelling
exactly. Exactly. I was just gonna say, now both of you have heard Claremont and then two shouts of "Thank you, Claremont" throughout the whole ship.
God.
So Oscar.
I mean, I feel completely in my element of being completely confused about everything.
Fair. What about you? Do you actually go down there and ask him what the hell's going on, Oscar?
No, he just yells like, keep it
Just
down.
yells, "What the hell is happening?"
I yell back, "Don't worry about it, we're good."
Ah.
The best part is we have comms. Just yelling.
I mean, I don't know why we don't do that through the ship more often.
True.
So after a few moments, all of you on the ship, there's a very clear power flicker that occurs throughout the ship, and like you get that you hear the air handlers turn off, the lights flicker a few times, and then it's dark for one moment, and then all the lights come back on, and the air handlers kick back on again. And that's all that happens.
I'm just gonna go ahead and chalk that up to repairs.
Gogo just looks like pale. Well, good thing it seems like they like us, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go now. Kara's just kind of like awkwardly shovels off.
Yeah, cool. So, Gogo, you and Dr. Fisher have to catch a shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you just like you fly the shuttle yourself.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool, yeah. So you just get like a transport shuttle. It's basically like renting like those rent-a-bikes, right? Doesn't have a spike drive. It's basically just got like thrusters that can get you from station to station.
Except in space.
Yeah, except in space. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you travel. You and Dr. Fisher travel over there in relative silence, I would assume. Or
we probably put on some old jazz music.
Yeah.
That's just the journey.
yeah, we see that instead of elevator music, it's like old jazz music playing, and the two of you just jamming out. It's not quite as
jamming out. It's like the slight like taps of the fingers, you know, on the.
yeah. Well, I mean that's how you jam out to jazz music.
Correct.
So
Is it started to turn into a haze bar where we just start?
yeah, smoke is just filling the cabin. You're not really sure why.
Out of nowhere, all of a sudden he has a drink with ice cubes in his hand. We're not really sure.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah. You're like, man, something might be wrong with the engine, but this is the mood.
One candle is on the dash, single light.
The lights dim. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So when you get there and roll down the window, all the smoke billows out.
They're like hotboxing.
Yeah. you're jazz boxing the shuttle. So the two of you disembark and you head to the office of Dr. Zinnia. When you arrive, you meet Dr. Zinnia's receptionist. It's probably a average looking man, paler skin with kind of mousy brown hair. And as you enter in, he says, how can I help you?
Oh, I have an appointment at 3:00 with Dr. Zinnia.
You are Dr. Zinnia's 3:00. Yes, very well. She will have approximately, it appears, 15 minutes for you. I hope you can complete your business within that time. Please, take a seat. She's simply cleaning from surgery.
Sure. She's kind of like off-put by how like just strange she is. Just goes and sits down.
Yeah, and like 15 minutes pass, right? And he's just simply there. You hear the occasional like tap of the the hollow keyboard, or maybe the clicking of the mouse, and eventually without seeming like any notification, he just calls to you. He says, Dr. Zinnia will see you now.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, and as the two of you stand up, the door opens. It's basically like a dentist's office, right? Where the door then opens for you and you walk into the back. And as you walk into the back, you see that this is basically just an office. There's appears to be like a consultation room and the office, and that's about it. And as you walk in, you see there's very little free space on any of the walls, because most of it is taken up with like holographs of different locations, clearly like vacation photos or something. There are like a bunch of accolades that are on one wall. There's also a wall of pictures of Dr. Zinnia like hugging patients, right? It's like a whole wall of it. It's just a bunch of that. And you see Dr. Zinnia is she's standing behind her desk, and she's taking some files and she's filing them in the large, like the wall behind her is filled with just cabinets and data storage devices, and she's clearly like filing stuff away. And she goes, "Oh yes, come in, sit down. How may I be of assistance? You must be B. Manilow?"
Holiday, yes. And she like holds out her hand to
Yes.
shake hers.
So sorry, I've never been really good with names.
And this is, and she just kind of like holds her hand for Dr. Fisher to introduce himself.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Fisher. Your reputation certainly precedes you. I believe you were in the class of 59, was it?
Eastern Surrey area. Your namesake.
Indeed, yes. Dr. Heisenhoff always keeps talking about you from his lectures. It's rather amusing, actually. You were always his favourite student, I seem to recall.
Yes, well, the favorites always fall out of favor quite as hard. As I'm sure you understand, you are a long way from home, Dr. Fisher.
Indeed, I have been working with Westwind, as it appears you are.
Ah, excommunicated yourself, I see.
More on a leave of absence, I would say.
Gogo kind of like.
Yes, well, we all know that sometimes we don't leave of our own accord. Anyway, Now, I will ask Gogo, did you put in, like, the whole, like, what's actually wrong? You didn't do that, right? You were just like, hey, I've got something special, right?
I wanted, yeah, because I didn't actually know
Right.
what he had or what was going on with him would actually be deemed special to her.
Right.
So I just left it super vague, but I would have 100% brought, and I assume Dr. Fisher would have brought, like, you know, the whole rundown on him and what's going on.
Yeah, and I think she says, Dr. Fisher, I assume that you are the patient's treating physician.
I am indeed, yes. I've done what I can, but you were always miles ahead in actual medical application rather than theory.
To be fair, a lot of it is risk. Here, let me see the file.
So I hand it over.
Yeah, and she begins, like, just perusing through, and she's doing that thing, Gogo, where, like, you're kind of in a rush, right? Like, you just, like, want to get stuff done, and she's like, interesting. Yes. Exposure. I've seen a few cases like this before. They're not uncommon, but to this degree. Tell me, Dr. Fisher, were you the one that stabilized the patient? I can say that I've never seen someone that's been exposed for, well, it appears roughly 6 hours, and survived, lived to tell the tale.
Yes, we managed to procure some alternative means to get the initial stabilization. I merely just enforced it.
And what might those be?
We had the help of a Shrek friend of mine.
So, more primitive medicines. Sriak are not
Alright.
known for their medical application. I'll need documentation on what all these were. I wouldn't want anything interfering. And yes, just so you're aware, I will take the case.
How does Gogo react to
Oh,
being
she
told?
plays it super cool. Hello? She's just like, oh, well, clearly that's why we're here.
Yes, indeed. Now, something like this will pull me away from my job duties for quite some time. I'll need to assign some extras, perhaps bring in outside help. Tell me, is there a... Well, I hate to be too brash, but is there a price you are willing to pay?
I look over to Gogo.
There is. But as I mentioned before, how I got your email, I know a lot about you. I don't know that you want to quite ask me about price.
Yeah, she closes the file slowly and she looks at you and she says, "Oh, please do tell. Whatever do you mean?"
Seems like money's gone missing. I know you are one for side projects. She just kind of like looks at her.
Sure, yeah. Can you roll me a persuasion check with charisma? I assume Dr. Fisher is not helping this.
No,
That's considering I didn't tell him this part.
I figured that you had something, but because I obviously knew you were hacking into.
True. You. I mean, I'm sure you put it together,
But yeah, certainly the details no. So I'm leaving that
hell
to you.
yeah.
Yeah, and she nods her head and she says, "It's a very interesting rumor you have heard. I'm not sure where you get your information, but let's say perhaps it is viable. Could certainly reduce the cost."
I mean, if Westwind hears that its funds aren't being used for the war,
Funds are simple enough to replace.
well, if you have so many funds to replace it with, then why do you need more from me?
I think she smiles and she says, "You are young, and I will accept that, but understand that it is not credits for myself that I want, it's very clearly for the greater good. I'm sure that the kind doctor here can tell you these off-book projects are not so cheap as one may seem." But I admit, perhaps you do have something that would be a hindrance to my work.
I think Gogo slides her compad over, and it's just like a blinking document. Just like write down a number.
Yeah, and I think she nods, and she looks at it and then she writes down a number and she flips it around to you. She writes down 6,500 credits.
I think Gogo kind of leans it over to Dr. Fisher to like partially gauge like, is that even remotely a reasonable price for any type of procedure? Because she has no idea.
Sure. Do you roll?
I mean, it's a lot of money, obviously, but like she has no concept of like how, if she like what that means.
Dr. Fisher, if you want to roll a tech med with intelligence, being familiar with medical procedures.
Sure.
Should have brought your businessman.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Dr. Fisher, it's I mean, it's reasonably low for the type of work you know needs done. It certainly wouldn't cover all costs. But
This
I
is
think
a
because you
expensive
gotta
procedure with a high profile physician.
Yeah, and I think that you get the idea that the costs may not, because tech med, right? It's obviously going to cost it's probably going to cost tens of thousands of credits in labor and work to actually fix Felix, right? This seems like it might be money for something else. You know, like something to cover maybe her bases in another area. She mentioned having to like hire temps to cover her position.
Yeah. So yeah, I not gleefully, what's the word? But yeah, I certainly nod to Gogo.
Emphatically.
Yeah.
But like in a cool, subdued way.
How about just cool?
Holy crap. Gogo having probably that exact reaction to Dr. Phil making a fool of himself. Slides the compad back kind of in her lap and says, well, it seems like it is a reasonable cost for this. I have to be straight with you though. I don't have these credits on hand.
Yeah, she kind of looks at you and she says, "Huh. This is curious. Well, I would not wish for a dying man to breathe his last breath before his proprietor could come up with the funding."
How much would you need to start?
Oh, start for free. But I wouldn't want eyes looking down upon why I am missing from my station. Let's say half now, half when it's complete. Recovery and all.
Sounds good. And Gogo kind of like breaks eye contact with her.
Yeah, she nods and she smiles and she looks at you, Dr. Fisher, and she says, "And I assume you will be in attendance as the primary physician, Dr. Fisher."
I would be only honoured to serve in your operating theatre.
Come, we will speak of home. And she like stands you up from your chair and puts an arm around you and walks you out of the office, kind of like almost forgetting about Gogo and leaving Gogo in her chair. Do you get up and leave as well, Gogo?
I think Gogo turns and looks at all of like the really happy photos. She just like scoffs, like stands up and walks out.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, Dr. Zinnia will take your job. She's gonna need, and this is not without risk, obviously. Very, very invasive and serious procedure. So, let me add a character sheet here named Dr. Zinnia. Cool. All right. I will work out her statistics in just a little bit. We'll see how she does. However, in the meantime, what else needs to be taken care of?
Fortune's got a couple of messages he needs to send.
Okay. What do those entail?
One message is going to be to, or one message each to. I don't know why I keep closing my notes. One to Harpy and one to Corsair.
Yeah, so every Claris mercenary has like a work address, right?
Yeah, like a way to get a hold of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is it going to be the same message? Also, do you want to roll a spacer check to see what you know about these two? Because you're probably not like, unless you roll high, you're probably not familiar with them on a personal level.
Probably not. I'm not familiar with too many people from Claris.
Yeah. You were in, but you were also kind of a loner.
Yeah.
So why don't you roll a spacer check for each, actually, with intelligence.
That's for Corsair.
Okay. Okay.
That's for Harpy.
So Corsair, you know a little bit more about Harpy. You know of, you know that she prefers to, probably like the one thing you know about her is her method for assassinations is particularly brutal, as she likes to get up close and personal with her targets. She's used almost primarily for assassinations and not really capture and control missions. So she's a strange pick for this job. But also remember, you're not the only one on the contract, right? And also, they suspect you to be highly dangerous with all of your friends.
Well, I'm actually not on the contract. I'm just an accomplice.
Right, you're an accomplice, exactly. So, you know, it's probably one of the reasons she was picked. Corsair is, his big deal is he likes to hire outside the company. He is a fan of utilizing local resources based on wherever his target might be to either capture, contain, or kill. But you do know a couple of things about him. First of all, his ship is very distinctive. It's a heavily modified frigate It's actually like a war frigate. It's not like a transport frigate like yours is. It's a heavily modified war frigate called the Corsair. So it's kind of a little bit more boisterous than a lot of Clerus are. And he kind of gives away his position every time he goes somewhere to do something, because he never is far from it. But his methods are such that a lot of times he may use the ship as a distraction. He may do all the work he needs to do, hire all the people he needs to hire, form all the raiding parties he needs to form, and then go be somewhere else and make the target assume that they're safe, right? Until the very last minute. So that's kind of his thing is he's big and flashy, but also he's crafty with it. Like, he's big and flashy and he uses it to his advantage.
Yeah, it's a tool more than anything else. Right,
exactly. And like, there's probably legends about Corsair taking down like fleets of, raider and pirate ships in just the Corsair, his personal frigate. It also means that he employs a full-time crew as well on his frigate, although you probably don't know much about them.
Cool. So then, I would probably send the same message to both, and just pretty much say, just simple, hey, want to meet? And then just leave it at that and see what they say.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Might take some time for it to get to them, depending on where they're at.
Perfectly fine.
But I will get that down. Cool. What about you, Oscar?
I have one other message I would like to send.
Okay. What's the other message? I'm sorry.
I wanted to send a message to stupid notes. Sarah MacGyver.
Yeah.
Just say hey, what's up? How you doing?
Just gotta haul at your girl.
We may be coming through your area soon, because if I'm not mistaken, there is a trip to a planet for Chan he wanted to make. But anyways, wondering if you had some time and maybe we could meet sometime. Let me know. XOXO. Erased. Love. Erased. From. Erased. Sincerely. Fortune. Erased. Fortune. Send.
Perfect. Like, you typed A and then you erased it and put Fortune again.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so you send that away. So this is actually the second message you've sent away and not heard a reply yet. Just FYI.
Yeah, that's correct.
In case you were counting. And also,
Fortune's getting ghosted.
Also, now that I didn't forget, right?
Yeah.
So, there you go. Be worried, Fortune.
I'll be worried if this one doesn't have a reply back.
Cool. So, Oscar, what about you?
What about me?
I don't know. What are you doing?
I think now that everything has sort of, a lot of business has been wrapped up that he was involved in recently. So I think he's probably spent some time looking at the big gross egg thing that they have strapped down in the
absolutely
and just musing over what this thing could possibly be and why it's worth any money to anyone.
Yeah, so very clearly to you, it appears mineral in origin. Like, it may be shaped the way that it is shaped, but it's like a hard crystalline...
so maybe it's like, fossilized, formerly organic material that's of use to somebody.
Yeah,
is that pretty close to...
Yeah, that's definitely an assumption you can make based on your observations, for sure.
Yeah, based on his ability to make that assessment.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's it. Okay.
It's possible that it's even like some rare mineral that does something when, like, reactively, right? Like when mixed with other things. Like, who knows? Could just be a pretty gemstone that people want to carve off and make jewelry out of. But
Yeah. Could be like a 400-pound emerald.
Right.
Something
yeah.
like that.
Certainly valuable. And in addition, Dr. Fisher, you learned something about that, right? I messaged it to you, but you specifically didn't tell anybody. Do you remember?
Because Fisher likes to keep the trust of his crewmates. Definitely doesn't do anything shady.
Well, what you don't know won't hurt you. But in answer to your question,
Might hurt Fisher.
what do you think? I obviously don't remember.
Oh my god. So remember you took scans of it.
You were under siege by a bunch of bats at the time, so it's, you know.
What's the word I'm looking for? Remember now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, that's interesting, but not. Oh my god! I need to shout to the whole world about this.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I just wanted to remind you because I know you forgot.
I'm valid in my reason to not tell you. At least in Fisher's mind.
So,
Do
you do anything else besides observe this thing?
Oh, I mean, Oscar is in tune with things that give off particular energies. So I think he'd, probe it a bit to see if there's anything that, like, is resonant or reacts in a, with metadimensional energy.
Sure. You don't get the sense from it anything like there's a cat though inside of it in case you were curious.
Deep within it there is a kitten.
Deep within it there is the in fact it's the last remaining kitten in the universe.
God, the last house cat. That's why it's so precious.
But see, every single other one of those was cats too, and so the only way to save the kitten race is to go
back.
Yeah, go back and get another one.
We must collect them all.
Hey, man, if this winds up being worth anything, we're going back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
tell you what, I'll march my ass right back in there and get a couple more.
All them bats.
While you are inspecting it,
yeah.
Roll me a perception check, please, with wisdom.
Whoa.
Damn.
Nice.
So you, as you're walking around, you're probing with your mind. Maybe you're occasionally touching the surface of it to try and get a feel for it. It appears to be rough, kind of like sandstone. Where sandstone is it's very porous material. And you hear a from above you, and you look up, and you see these long tentacle-like forms descend from the panel that's been blown off. And you realize very clearly that it's Stanley. And as he drops down onto the cargo bay, he is about 5 feet long now. His diameter,
big boy.
His diameter's probably around a meter or so, since I'll use metric because this game uses metric. So he's about 2 meters long and about a meter in diameter now.
Little chunkster.
And and his mouth.
Do you mean in circumference, or is he like a little log?
No, he's like a little log. Like he's gone. he's less slug snake-like, and he's grown outward more than he has grown long. No, I'm dead serious. That's what he looks like.
He's my little barrel boy.
And you see that rows of teeth have begun to grow inside, but You also see, in addition to his feelers that he's always had, he's got 2 that are longer, right, than normal. He appears to have what appear to be forming appendages. 2 on his front, like on the front, and he sits upright more now. And so you see these, like, it kind of looks like there's like a little cocoon that sits. It's slightly discolored as it distends kind of from his barrel shape. And his tentacle like reaches out and it snakes its way, and we get the, you know, the slow motion, and it touches the form, the crystalline entity. And when it does, it recoils quickly. And Stanley makes a noise that you heard that triggers a memory perhaps once before. And you recall when you sliced his wife in half.
Stanley never saw that.
There was the hissing sound of aggression, or at least what you took to be aggression. And Stanley is like, but it's much louder and more verbose. It's just
Owie.
and he kind of rears back, and the appendages you see are like moving almost fervently. He appears extremely offended by whatever this is. And for someone that eats precious metals,
well, at least we don't have to worry about him eating it. I think so maybe he's not as alarmed, given he like knew that this was going to happen before Stanley was even born, apparently, with a 14. Oscar like takes a step back and just kind of looks at him, and he's like, holy shit. Whoa. Stanley, you've been eating well. And he just kind of assesses the changes that he's gone through. And you know, he's not gonna delude himself to think that he understands what he's saying, but he maybe he just, like, you know, gets in between Stanley and the egg or the rock or whatever it is now, and he just kind of puts his hand up and, you know, tries to gesture, like, you know, he says it's okay, and maybe like just throws a big tarp over it or something like a, I mean, I'm sure in the cargo bay they have like those big heavy flame-proof, you know, blankets and stuff. He just kind of throws one over that and maybe cinches some cord around the bottom of it.
So remember, these things glow slightly. So when you do that, when you throw over, the light dims, and, you know, you cinch it to the bottom, and Stanley follows you around, and you like reach out your hand to like pat his head, kind of, you know, knowingly, you know, like comfortingly. And as you do, you see vague, almost phosphorus light kind of illuminate Stanley in some form. And because you rolled a 14, I'm gonna message you this, and I'm gonna see what your reaction is.
I am in this moment. I am like Paul Atreides here, just like. Gosh, I hope this is about cats.
Please be about kittens.
The last kitten. Yeah, that's about what I took, but we'll leave that.
Yeah. So
Noted.
what's like Oscar's reaction to seeing that?
concern.
Okay. Concern pheromones fill the air around you.
Yeah. I think concern covers it.
Okay. Yeah, and you hear right before we probably end here, you hear a soft cooing from Stanley as you pat him.
Yeah.
I will find an
Oscar's gonna
image
have
for
to-
kind of what you saw.
Sure. No, I can envision it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. We're gonna have to keep a closer eye on him.
Guys has just been kind of letting him run around, and I've just been kind of doing the thing.
Yeah, I mean he's having a pretty good life.
Chan
He's
takes
certain-
very good care of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, certainly a much better life than his brothers and sisters.
Who were all Stanley doesn't know that. He can never know that. He
That's
was
just
tucked safely in a barrel.
He just somehow learns it and just eats us all, and that's it. Game over.
Oh, sad face. So, that perhaps is a great place to end for the night. Perhaps with one more scene of like, it's an operating room, right? And we see Felix lying there, and we see Dr. Fisher and Dr. Zinnia like all suited up, right? Yeah. And then we see Gogo. Are you like in the little observation deck above the surgery?
100%.
Yeah, are you like wringing your hands or like concerned, or what is the look on your face?
I think that it's concern that you believe is for her father, but it's more concern about where the fuck am I gonna get that money from?
Mm-hmm.
There are loans. I'm sure you can call on something.
All of a sudden, the egg pops into Gogo's head. She's like,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey, we can go back.
Cool. So, that was a great place to end for the night. I think that there is no other super pressing concerns to deal with, right?
I think Oscar has to have a long talk with Oha, but beyond that,
Sure.
there's
because
stuff on the horizon.
the thing I am thinking is just to make it like we start next session, because it'll be like 3 weeks from now. Just 2 weeks in the future, and we'll talk briefly about what happened during those 2 weeks, and then jump right into whatever we're doing next.
Fortune wants to get some training on armory smithing, whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But
There'll be
it's more just saying I'm doing it because I don't actually have skill points to spend yet.
Right.
So
Totally. Yeah, and there'll be a chance for like you'll get those of you that want to progress a clock, you'll get 4 rolls, right?
Cool.
Because that's about how many you would get. Everybody gets 1,500 experience. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So I think Gogo, aren't you rapidly approaching another level?
Yeah, I'm like super close. Hold on, I have to finish adding.
What's the next level cap for experts?
5160 is the
I
next
am
level.
20,000 away.
Yeah, I'm only
Yeah,
4,000 away, or 4,500 away.
Damn.
Man,
Yeah, I'm about 13,000.
I'm going all the way to 64,000 though.
you and me both, Fortune.
Cool. So, we will not be playing for the next 2 weeks at a minimum, right, Matt?
My condolences.
Okay, cool. So we'll be a little bit delayed on this game, but hopefully on that 3rd week. If not, I'm sure it will only get harder and then immediately better because Matt will have nothing to do and actually will want to play more games. So
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best.
that was your promise to me, sir.
I it'll be smoother sailing after I defend.
Okay. Good.
It's gonna be a little rocky through like May.
That's quite a long time.
I'm gonna try.
But we'll see. Surely 4 hours a week you can take for yourself.
I'm gonna try.
Otherwise, you might die. I'm just throwing it out there. Also, your sister will be mad at you.
Yeah.
But also, I know what he's doing is important, so.
Anyway, I'm gonna go do outro. Thank you all for being here. It was a lot of fun today, and
Yup.
we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah.
Goodbye, internet's people.
Will, don't go anywhere.
Oh.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for being here. A little less action than last time, but we got a lot of story stuff done, so I'm really excited about that. And I'm glad you all could be here. Thank you all for watching, as always. And if you liked what you see, do all the fun things by going to all the places and doing all of the things. Thanks. Talk to you guys later. Bye.